Thank you, folks. Good afternoon and welcome back to LNTV. My name is Anthony Williams, and I'm coming to you live from Palace Élysée, the official presidential palace of the French president, President Emmanuel Macron. Just a few moments ago, this afternoon at around 1:25 p.m. French time, President Boakai arrived here at Palace Élysée, where he was invited for a lunch by French President, President Emmanuel Macron. But also, they will both be holding bilateral talks. And of course, earlier when President Boakai arrived, you witnessed French President Emmanuel Macron welcoming the Liberian leader, giving him a warm hug, of course, with a smile on President Boakai's face. And he was officially received by the French military guards, and he was formally ushered in to Palace Élysée, the official palace of the French presidency. So as we speak, President Boakai is still in there with French President Emmanuel Macron, and they both are still holding discussions here at Palace Élysée here in France. Now, as you are aware, President Boakai arrived early yesterday, and he was officially welcomed, just as you saw the French National Guards welcoming him here at the French Palace, the President's Palace. Similar welcoming ceremony was held yesterday at the military complex, where the national anthem of the Republic of Liberia was played as a sign of officially welcoming the Liberian president to France for a 4-day state visit. Now, President Boakai's visit is fully packed with lots of activities that he's expected to form part of. Today begin the actual diplomatic talks with the French president, President Emmanuel Macron, once President Boakai arrived here a few minutes ago. So, as we speak, discussions are still ongoing in there. The Liberian delegation comprising of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Madame Sarah Besloyanti, the Finance Minister, Minister Augustin Ngafouan. We also have some Liberian diplomats. Speaking of the Liberian ambassador here to France, Ambassador Tiko Yoli is currently in there. Also, Liberia's ambassador to Brussels, also closer to France, Ambassador Dema is also in there. Forming part of President Boakai's delegation. We also have the Minister of State with our portfolio, Madame Mamakai Bility, is also forming part of the President's delegation. And they are in there as President Boakai holds bilateral talks with his counterpart, President Emmanuel Macron. And so as we speak, we await President Boakai to come out any moment from now. We are seeing signs. In fact, we have been informed by the folks here that any moment from now, His Excellency the President will be concluding his discussions with the French President, President Emmanuel Macron. And so we await his arrival any moment from now. So for those of you who are watching, wherever you're watching from, kindly leave your concerns in the comment section as President Boakai holds bilateral discussions with his counterpart. Now, let's talk about the President's 4-day state visit here in Paris, France, and what will be some of the meetings that he's expected to hold. Apart from holding the current bilateral discussion, which is one of the key components of his visit here in France upon receiving invitation from his counterpart, he's also expected to hold some business meetings and discussions with key investors, French investors, French business companies, or businesses, sorry, here in Paris, France. On Tuesday, when we arrived here in France, we had the opportunity. In fact, on Wednesday, yesterday, when President Boakai arrived, we had the opportunity to speak to the French ambassador to Liberia, and she made it clear to us that there are several French businesses or companies that are lined up to hold discussions with the Liberian delegation that's here in France. Also, she also made mention of Liberia and France wanting to go back to some diplomatic agreements that were signed back since the 1970s, to renew some of these agreements that were signed between both Liberia and France, to equip or to bring them up to present day reality, something that she said will help to boost Liberia and French diplomacy, or Liberia and French relations. As we speak currently, earlier this morning, to react to some of those discussions that she spoke about this morning. The Minister of Foreign Affairs in the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs this morning did sign a very crucial agreement as it relates to Liberia and French relations. And so, speaking of some of the companies that I expected, or that President Boakai is expected to hold meetings with here in Paris, France, we've been informed that the Liberian leader is expected to hold special or key discussions with a steel giant or mining giant, ArcelorMittal. As you all know, ArcelorMittal has been operating in Liberia for over a decade now, and as we speak, their current mineral development agreement discussions are on the table for renewal of that mineral, agreement. As you all also know, ArcelorMittal Liberia has been making huge investments in Liberia, but also the government of Liberia also do have some concerns that they do intend to put on the table as it relates to the agreements with ArcelorMittal. And so, speaking of that, a crucial meeting is expected to be held here in Paris, France, and President Boakai will be part of that meeting, and he will be looking into some of the agreements between ArcelorMittal and Liberia. Also, speaking about another French company, you all know the French energy giant Total Energy. President Boakai is also expected to hold a meeting with Total Energy here in Paris, France, also once he concludes his discussion with ArcelorMittal. But that's going to take place on tomorrow. All of those meetings are all lined up and they're all set to take place on tomorrow. Apart from meeting companies and businesses here in Paris, France, the Liberian leader will also hold a town hall meeting with the Liberian residing here in Paris, France. In fact, not specifically restricted to those residing here in Paris, France. Upon his arrival, we spoke to some of the Liberians who went on the airport to receive the Liberian leader, and some of them came from countries closer to France. Speaking of Italy and other countries that are closer to France, they all converged here in Paris, France. And they are expected to meet President Boakai to hold discussions with the Liberian leader as it relates to Liberia's development and how these Liberians can also have the opportunity to go back home and invest in the country. As President Boakai's trip here in France is solely about, making engagements for investments to return to Liberia. And so we're getting signs that President Boakai will be out here any moment from now once he formalizes his discussion with the French President Emmanuel Macron. So I'm going to show you the beautiful scenery here in the Élysée Palace where President Emmanuel Macron and President Joseph Boakai are still holding discussions here at the residence of the French president. And also, while I show you the beautiful scenery, I will also be bringing you up to speed some very key discussions, some key agreements that have been reached or that are expected to be reached between both countries. My name is Anthony Williams. Stick and stay with us. Keep watching and kindly put your comments in the comments section as President Boakai undertake a 4-day state visit here in Paris, France. All right, folks. So we're still waiting. We expect at any moment from now the president will make his way out. And there you have it. You are seeing signs. There's movement there in the Palace Élysée. Earlier, I was literally the only journalist here on the standby waiting President Boakai. But as you can see, the entire press pool is already full with international journalists who are talking about media practitioners from CNN, from BBC, from AFP, and also from across Africa. There are several international media institutions that are also here. As you can see, they are all getting their gear set to capture the departure of President Boakai from holding his meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron. And of course, the National Guards of the French Army also are still here on the standby, waiting to capture, also to give salutes to President Boakai as he departs the Élysée Palace of French President Emmanuel Macron. And so, keep watching, folks. Let me bring you more details, like I said, as to some of the discussions that have been held here in Paris, France, with President Joseph Boakai. Keep watching, keep following. Stick and stay with us, folks. Keep watching. I'm going to just run you through as it relates to this 4-day state visit that's a lot taking place here in Paris, France. So I'm going to run you through of several of those details that or those agreements that have been reached here in Paris, France, as it relates to the president's 4-day state visit here in France. So both the government of Liberia and France have reaffirmed their partnership through signing a general cooperation agreement, renewing the framework of the cooperation between both countries, both Liberia and France. And also, as part of President Boakai's visit here in Paris, France, Her Excellency, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sarah Beslo Yanti, Liberia's Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Her Excellency Eleanor Chariot, that's the Minister delegate to the Minister of Europe and Foreign Affairs, responsible for Francophonie or Francophone countries and French nationals abroad. They both jointly signed a general cooperation agreement on this morning. That's October 30 this morning here in Paris, France, at the French Foreign Ministry. Now, this agreement compasses various sectors of bilateral cooperation, including education, agriculture, the environment, health, youth support, sports, development, climate change, renewable energy, forestry, and biodiversity, water, and sanitation. Now, Our Excellency Sarah Beslo Yanti, the Foreign Minister, also thanked the government of France this morning when they were during the signing for the support to Liberia's UNSC bid for the 2026-2027 term. Come to think of it, Liberia now sits on the UN Security Council as a non-permanent member, and the French government also did play a prominent part, or a very important part, in contributing to Liberia's selection on the UN Security Council non-permanent seat. So that's one major reason why Foreign Minister Sarah Beslo Yanti also had to make it clear and thank the French government for their contribution. So now we're seeing ahead of us the entry to Palace Élysée being opened. Sounds more to me like President Boakai is literally making his way out as we speak. So keep watching. But let's just show you there. We want to make sure once President Boakai steps out, you can see him making his way out of the Palace Élysée. But speaking about the signing this morning, that particular event earlier this morning, actually this did highlight, from what I'm looking at ahead of me, I'm seeing some of the delegates from Liberia. So we'll pause on the discussions regarding the agreement and focus on this event ahead of us currently. But what we're looking at now, I'm seeing Finance Minister. I'm also seeing Madame Sarah Beslo Yanti there. If you look closely ahead of me, walking out of the palace, Foreign Minister Sarah Beslo Yanti. I also do see the Minister of Finance, Augustin Pehe Ngafuan, making his way out. And so this tells us that President Boakai has concluded a very crucial but very rewarding discussion with the French president right there. So it appears President Boakai. Madam Minister, you care to say a word quickly before you go out? Foreign Minister Sarah Beslo Yanti. Madam Minister, President Boakai just held discussions with his counterpart, French President Emmanuel Macron. You care to bring us up to speed quickly?
The discussions were excellent. We had a working lunch with President Macron and his team, President Boakai and his team. So myself, the Minister of Finance, the Security Advisor, Minister of State without Portfolio, DG of the Cabinet, others. Senator Daba Fabla as well. We had a working lunch where we discussed with them key issues. This morning, we signed a cooperation agreement between France and Liberia, me and my counterpart. And so the discussion was about how we deepen the relationship and how we look at critical issues that we can work on together, including peace and security. It was a deep discussion on security.
Thank you, Madam. President Boakai has already made his way out there, folks. Let's zoom in quickly. I wish we could talk more, hear more from the foreign minister, but there you have President Boakai and President Macron both there making their way down the stairs. And President Macron is and President Boakai are both having tete-a-tete there right after his very crucial meeting that was just held. You just listened to the foreign minister, Madam Sarah Beslo-Yanti, speaking of how fruitful the discussions were. And so President Boakai has now boarded his vehicle already, and he will now make his way out of Palace Élysée. And folks, this has been an awesome coverage here at the residence of French President. And so French President Emmanuel Macron will now make his way back in. There you have him walking back in there. And there you have President Boakai departing Palace Élysée. All right, folks. So thank you very much, folks. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for following LNTV. My name is Anthony Williams. I really wish I could stay here and bring you more updates about the meeting that was just held with President Boakai and his counterpart, President Emmanuel Macron. But you did hear from the Minister of Foreign Affairs. She spoke about some of the key issues that were discussed. We'll bring you more details on President Boakai's visit here at Palace Élysée, the residence of French President Emmanuel Macron. I'm going to make my way out there quickly. I'm in a convoy, so I have to run. But I'd like to say thanks for watching and thanks for leaving your comments. My name is Anthony Williams, bringing you this live coverage from Paris, France. Bye-bye for now.